The last song of the neon clock. The rain in New Portland never really stopped. It just changed tempo. Tonight, it was playing a slow, patient jazz rhythm against the cracked pavement of 47th Alley. Elias Crow, 31 going on extinct, stood under the only working street lamp for 3 blocks and watched the red numbers on the ancient neon clock above Mama Rue's diner wudger tick from 3:17 to 3:18 a.m. The clock had been dying for 17 years. Everyone knew it. The 8 inches and 3:18 flickered like someone trying to cough with a collapsed lung. Every time it struggled, the whole sign dimmed, and for a heartbeat, the street looked like the surface of the moon, gray, dead, forgotten. Then the 8 would gasp back to life, and the alley would remember it still had color. Elias had come here every Thursday night for the last 4 months. Not for the food. Mama Rue had stopped frying anything that wasn't already fossilized around 2029. Not for the coffee. It tasted like regret filtered through motor oil. But for the clock. He told himself he was waiting for it to finally die. He wanted to be there when the last electron gave up. He wanted to witness something finish. Tonight felt different. A girl, no older than 22, stepped out of the shadows near the fire escape. She wore a transparent rain poncho over a dress made of silver mylar, the kind emergency blankets are made of. Only someone had spent 3,000 hours hand-stitching it into something that moved like liquid mercury. Her boots were silent. That was the first thing Elias noticed. In a city where every surface screamed when you walked on it, her steps made no sound at all. She stopped exactly under the clock and looked up. "You're late," she said without turning around. Elias felt his stomach fold itself into origami. "I don't know you." "You know the clock," she answered. "That's close enough." She raised one hand. Between her fingers was something small and black, no bigger than a guitar pick. She flicked it upward like you'd skip a stone across water. The object didn't fall. It rose, slowly, impossibly, until it hovered level with the bottom curve of the number 8. Then it began to spin. The flickering stopped. The 8 burned steady crimson for the first time in Elias's memory. Not just steady, bright, too bright. The entire alley suddenly looked like it had been power washed with bloodlight. Shadows ran away like frightened animals. Elias took one step backwards. His heel caught a puddle, and the splash sounded obscene in the sudden quiet. "What did you do?" he asked. "Gave it another 4 minutes," she said. "That's all it had left. 4 minutes and 17 seconds, to be exact." He stared at her profile. She had the kind of face that made you forget what other faces looked like. Not beautiful in the magazine sense, more like someone had carved her out of moonlight and bad decisions. "Why?" he asked. "Because someone has to care when things die," she said simply. "And you've been showing up for 4 months. That counts." Elias laughed once, a dry bark. "I come here because I like watching things break. That's not caring." She finally turned to look at him. Her eyes were the color of old analog television static, gray, restless, full of ghosts. You think watching something die is the opposite of love? She asked. It's the most honest kind. Everything else is just negotiation. The clock ticked. 3:19. The girl tilted her head. You want to hear what it's saying? It's a clock. It doesn't talk. Everything talks, she said. You just have to stand still long enough. She reached up again, this time both hands. The little black pick thing split into 2, then 4, then 8 identical fragments. They orbited the neon 8 like planets around a dying sun. And then, very softly, the clock began to hum. Not the usual electrical buzz, something lower, something that lived in your ribs. Elias felt it before he heard it clearly. Words. Not English, not any language he knew, yet he understood every syllable. It said, I was born on a Tuesday in June, when the power grid still believed in promises. I counted heartbeats for a city that forgot how to sleep. I counted drunks and lovers and people running from something. I counted the nights a boy named Jonah waited under me for a girl who never came. I counted 4 presidents, 7 riots, 1 comet that everyone pretended not to see. I counted the hours until the last bar closed forever. I counted the seconds it takes to decide you are already dead inside. I counted your Thursdays, all 117 of them. You never once asked me to keep going. But you came back anyway. That is the only reason I am still burning. The hum faded. The little orbiting fragments slowed, then dropped into the girl's palm like tired fireflies. 3:20. Elias discovered his face was wet. He didn't know whether it was rain or something worse. You're not human, he said quietly. Not anymore, she answered. But I remember what it felt like. She stepped closer. The mylar dress made small crinkling sounds, like distant fireworks. I can give you the next 4 minutes of your own life, she said. Unfiltered, no edits, no mercy. Every feeling you've been running from since you were 16. Or, I can let the clock die right now, and you can keep pretending you don't feel anything at all. Your choice. Elias looked up at the sign. The it was beginning to stutter again. Brave little gasps. He thought about Jonah waiting under the clock. He thought about every Thursday he had stood here telling himself he was just killing time. He thought about how long it had been since he let himself remember his sister's laugh. Give me the 4 minutes, he said. She smiled, small, sad, ancient. Then look at me. He did. And the alley disappeared. For exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds, Elias Crow remembered everything he had spent a decade trying to erase. The smell of hospital antiseptic and lemon floor cleaner. His mother whispering, "It's okay to cry," while machines screamed that it wasn't. The exact weight of his sister's hand the last time she squeezed his. The sound her monitor made when it changed from beeping to one long note. The way he walked out of the room and didn't come back for 3 days. The way he never told anyone he still heard that long note in his dreams. the way he had chosen every day since then to feel nothing rather than feel that again. When the 4 minutes ended, he was sitting on the wet pavement, back against the brick wall of Mama Ru's, gasping like he'd been underwater the whole time. The girl was still standing there. The clock was dark, completely dark. No flicker, no heroic last breath, just silence. She crouched beside him. "It's over," she said gently. "Yeah," Elias managed. His voice sounded like gravel. "It is." She placed the little black pick thing in his palm. It was warm. "Keep it," she said. "Someday you'll meet someone else who's waiting for something to die. Give it to them. Tell them someone once cared enough to give you 4 extra minutes." She stood. "Wait," Elias said. But she was already stepping backward into the dark between street lamps. "What's your name?" he called. She paused. "Midnight," she said. And then she was gone. Elias sat there until the rain changed tempo again. He opened his hand and looked at the small black object. It was just a piece of matte obsidian now. No glow, no orbit, just memory. He stood up slowly. The clock was dead. But for the first time in years, Elias Crow did not feel like he was dying with it. He turned toward the mouth of the alley. 4 minutes and 17 seconds later, he was still walking, and he was still breathing.